Good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh. My name is Jaden Barker, and we have a great show for you today. I am joined by Jordan Morak, Amir Keesley, and Josh Woodman. Let's get right into it. With the Steelers scoring 24 points and the team winning in LA, has Matt Canada redeemed himself as the offensive coordinator? Jordan, do you think he has redeemed himself?
Absolutely not. First of all, the Steelers were gifted excellent field position by T.J. Watt interception. Kenny Pickett audibled out of Matt Canada's play call to get us a touchdown, and then I have to give him credit for the last play call that ended up in a touchdown.
Yeah.
But overall, no, he has not redeemed himself at all. He is still the worst offensive coordinator in the league. I think the only thing that can redeem himself in Pittsburgh is if he wins a Super Bowl.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, Jordan. I agree 100%. Matt Canada is garbage, point blank, period.
He is.
There's no explanation. There's no way that people can justify this man's actions.
Nope.
Like, he's borderline a terrorist, in my opinion. The city of Pittsburgh does not appreciate this man, and I stand on that to the day I die.
I mean, I have to completely agree. I think he definitely represents a lot of just the bad in the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. He has done nothing to show. I do think he was a little bit more aggressive, and I'm happy he showed more emotion this time in the box when the cameras cut to him. But overall, 24 points is nothing crazy. I think we need more.
Yeah, and the Steelers haven't had a game with over 400 yards since 2020, and they have not averaged 20 or more points since 2021. This is unacceptable for a team that wants to be a playoff team, let alone a contender. We can't have this no more.
And I think Kenny needs to step up more. I mean, I'm happy he's audibling, but I'd like to see more of that. I mean, Ben used to call all the plays on offense. I mean, he would just do those 2-minute drills and go. And Kenny's shown that. We just need more, I think. And I would like to show some authority with that.
I agree with you, Josh. I feel like as long as Kenny takes control of the offense and audibles just like Big Ben did, we will be fine.
Yep.
Like, we've seen that last year with his game-winning drive, so I think that's what we need to do.
Yep.
Jordan, I could not agree with you more. Now, keeping on the topic with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Deontay Johnson returning from his hamstring injury, there has been a lot of debate with who the Steelers' #1 receiver is. Amir, who do you think it is?
Fellas, I'm going to have to go with George Pickens. That
Yes, sir.
guy is a straight dog. George Pickens is him. And he's explosive. His plays are amazing. Look at the play he had, I believe, what was it, last week? The touchdown? That was flawless. That was amazing. It was beautiful, man. I believe that George Pickens is our #1. Even with Deontay coming back, Deontay is probably going to have to be eased back into the offense, so he's not going to get his #1 role back just yet. But for now, it's GP.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. You're wrong. The #1 receiver of this team is still Deontay Johnson. George Pickens is great. He's not the #1 yet. Deontay came back and showed us why he's still the #1 on this team. He was able to create separation. He was able to take the ball and get yards after catch. It's something that GP really doesn't have developed in his game yet, just getting separation on routes. This is something that Deontay Johnson is specialized at. So I don't think GP is the #1 receiver yet, but I think in time he will be.
Yeah, but I think when you say the term wide receiver 1, I think you have to think about who this guy is going to be the guy you look for. George Pickens should be the guy we look for on every single down that we throw the ball. Deontay, he's good. He's definitely going to be there to be the fallback guy. I think he's one of the best route runners in football. But honestly, Pickens is just crazy. You can throw him a 50-50 ball. He'll come down with it 100% of the time. I think Pickens should be the guy we obviously look for. But Deontay's still excellent. Allen Robinson's still really good. Calvin Austin worked in there too. Yeah. I think a lot of guys are showing good stuff, but I think Pickens has to be the first guy we look for.
I just don't think that
Josh.
you can be a #1 receiver if you can't really create that much separation off routes.
He doesn't need that, though. He doesn't need it.
But
We've seen plenty of
#1
him.
receiver on a football team that wants to make the playoffs. You have to
Give him some time. Give him some time to actually develop.
I will. That's why I said not yet.
All right. Well, all right.
Fair.
That's fair.
Amir, I completely agree with you. George Pickens is the #1 wide receiver, and Matt Canada needs to use him more. Looking at the broader picture of the NFL, the NFL trade deadline is something to keep an eye on. As the deadline arrives on Tuesday, Jordan, who is your biggest NFL star on the move?
For me, it has to be Derrick Henry. I feel like it's time for the Titans to move on. They've been kind of stagnant. They've been very bad this year. They haven't really done nothing since 2021. They haven't been contenders since then. Derrick Henry is getting old, and as we all know, running backs, once they get old, they start to become valueless and lose traction, especially him for his running style. I feel like it's time to move on.
I have to agree with you. I feel like Derrick Henry, he is getting a little bit older, and a change of scenery would be good for him. But my pick is Chase Young.
Oh.
Chase Young will be getting traded this year. He's having a career year with the Commanders so far, and they're sitting 3-4 in their division. But Chase Young is attracting eyes from around the league, and he's on an expiring deal. So what's better than that? Trade him.
A guy who
have another
won't
team.
get injured. A guy who won't get injured is better than
Josh,
that.
hear me out. Here's the thing. That's another reason why I think the Commanders should trade him. Look, trade him to a team that needs an edge rusher, and it can just get him on like a trade and sign deal.
It definitely makes sense to get him, for the Washington to deal him. But I don't know if it makes sense for a team to want to go out and get him. And in that case, Washington has very little leverage with this. They have decent picks, but they have nothing they can really give.
So
you're looking for just Chase Young gone. What are you getting back? You're getting a couple picks because you're just dealing an injury-prone guy?
But here's the thing. Do you want him to expire on his contract and just go into the offseason as a free agent, or do you want to get
No.
some
It makes
kind
sense
of value
for them.
back?
But at the same time, why am I, as a franchise, going to give up 3-4 picks for a guy who's barely played, he's injured? I mean, he's good, but, is he worth that second-round pick you're going to be giving up for him?
I'm sorry, but if you're giving up 4 picks for Chase Young as a GM, I think you're stupid.
Well, no, I agree. I was exaggerating.
I would say maybe a third-round pick.
Any type of package for him is kind of crazy.
After sticking with the NFL, after a chaotic week of football that saw several upsets, including the Vikings over the Niners on Monday night, teams are starting to separate themselves into contenders and pretenders. Which of the contenders do you think are the biggest fraud at this point in the season, Josh?
I'm going to make this very clear. I think the Miami Dolphins should be on fraud watch. Now, hear me out. Look, if you look at all of their wins, they have beat the teams they should beat. You would expect them to beat, especially with an offense with Tyreek Hill, Tua, Jalen Waddle, Mostert, and new developed running back A-Chain. They have only beat the Chargers by 2 points. They beat the Patriots by 7, okay? And that's when the Patriots were struggling. This isn't recent. This was beginning of the season. On top of that, they blew out the Broncos, dropped 70. Okay, the Broncos were bad. They gave up. And also the Giants and Carolina with Bryce Young. Nothing. I'm not seeing really anything impressive. That's just normal. But on top of that, they got blown out by the Bills. And I get that's an away game, but the Bills, we've seen the Bills struggle, and I think you might have something to say with how bad the Bills are.
Yeah.
So it's just they struggled against the Eagles. They couldn't really generate a run game. Vic Fangio is a defensive guru. This defense has given up 26 points on average against most opponents. That is not anything special.
I'm going to honestly, sorry, Jordan, but I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys for being the most fraudulent team in the league. I'm sorry, they're overrated. They are not good, and they simply struggle to beat teams that they should beat. They didn't beat the Cardinals. They barely beat the Chargers. It's ridiculous. The Cowboys fans continue to hype up the Cowboys, even though we know that they're not going to go anywhere. Do you guys understand where I'm hitting at right here?
Exactly.
I mean,
they're not a good team.
Any chance to hate
Dak
on the
Prescott
Cowboys,
is terrible.
Real.
Yes.
He's an overrated quarterback.
Yep.
Not even a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah, but speaking of overrated, the Buffalo Bills, they're still holding on to the AFC divisional game that they lost against the Kansas City Chiefs in 2021.
Yep.
They have not done anything since then. They got whooped in the playoff last year versus the Bengals. They're not that good. They lost to a trash Patriots team. They lost to an Aaron Rodgers Jets team. And they almost lost to what I think is the worst team in the league in the New York Giants. I think they're the biggest frauds in the league.
I agree.
Transitioning into the world of baseball, the conference championships wrapped up last night with the Diamondbacks taking down the Phillies in a dramatic 7-game series. The Rangers also clinched their spot in the World Series, eliminating the defending champion Astros. Also, in 7 games, Amir, who is your World Series pick?
My World Series pick is the Texas Rangers in 5, baby. Let's go. That is my top team in the playoffs right now, and I feel like the Rangers are way better offensively than the Diamondbacks are, but the only downfall is their bullpen. Their bullpen isn't as strong as, a normal World Series team would be, but that could be a problem, but I still think they'll pull through. And the Diamondbacks, they're a sneaky good team. They're giving off 2015 Kansas City Royal vibes, but I just think they don't have the experience to go and win a series in an elongated fashion. So
Well, they have, though, what you said the Rangers don't have, which is the deep bullpen. The Diamondbacks do have that, and what they have a lot more of, and what I've been excited about, especially with that win over the Phillies, is they have the excitement, they have the momentum, they're on a roll, they're going crazy, they're hitting a lot. Corbin Carroll is probably the guy I'd have to watch for MVP in the series because of just how important he's been. I think, honestly, 100% the Diamondbacks have a shot in this.
I have to agree with Amir and say the Rangers. Basically, the Diamondbacks are basically the Phillies of last year. Came in and lost to the Astros. And what did the Rangers do? They came in and they destroyed the Astros in Game 7 this year. And I think they're going to do the same thing to the Diamondbacks. They're going to destroy them.
I agree with you, Jordan. Honestly, I feel like the Diamondbacks, they're going to get a game. They're going to shock them and get a game. But other than that, I feel like the Rangers are going to punch them in the mouth and just punch them in the mouth.
Just punch them in the mouth?
Punch them in the mouth. That's all you got to do.
Moving over into the NBA, the season got underway last night, but it's never too soon to look ahead towards playoffs, Jordan. Which team is your NBA Finals pick?
Well, I have been a big believer in the Milwaukee Bucks since they won their championship, and I am still a big believer in the Milwaukee Bucks with the addition of Damian Lillard, who is a elite all-NBA level player, with the second best player in the league, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and you still have Chris Middleton there, who's an all-star level player. I get the loss of Drew Holiday is going to hurt you a bit with his defense, but the Bucks offense should be one of the league's best, and the pick and roll between Giannis and Dame is going to be unstoppable this year.
I'm going to have to go against that. I think that the Celtics have the best chances here. I've been thinking they were going to do it. They came close against the Warriors a couple years ago. I think this is their year. I think they have all the pieces, getting Drew Holiday because of that Dame trade. I think they have plenty of depth. I think they have tons. They were close last year. They fell just short. I think they are ready to make it all the way this year.
And I'm going to have to take it to the West Coast. The Phoenix Suns are going to be the team that wins the finals. They have a healthy KD, healthy Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. You cannot have a better core than that.
That's if KD and Bradley Beal want to play, though. I mean, the new load management rule is going to help, but, I mean, those homies never want to play. They're always on the bench half the time.
Shoot, well, they're making the money, so, I mean.
I mean, you see the last super team that KD has been on. It didn't really work out that well. And I think it's going to be the same thing with the Suns. They do not have the depth that they need to win a championship. In the NBA, you need depth. We see what Denver did and how much depth they had. You cannot win a team. You cannot win with just a super team of 4 All-Stars anymore. This is not the NBA of 2018. You need depth on your roster, and I don't think the Suns have enough to compete.
Which is why I think, sorry to interrupt, but the Milwaukee, I don't think they'll win because they only have 2 guys. I mean, they have depth, but they have those 2 big All-Stars that everyone's going to expect to drop 60 combined every night, but where's that other 60 you might need?
And here's the thing. It is still early, so we'll just keep a lookout for it.
Well, that can change.
Switching into the NHL, the Pens lost to the Stars last night, and now they are 2-4 on the season. What seems to be the biggest problem to the start of the season, Josh?
Where do I start? I mean, the defense is pretty abysmal. They're leaking left and right. The offense needs to capitalize on all the chances they're generating. I mean, Crosby's looked pretty shaky besides his, I think, 1 or 2 goals maybe this year. You know, I think Crosby's very shaky, which means that's going to hurt everyone else he's with. Yeah. If you don't have your number 1 guy scoring and leading you, it's going to be hard to fall in line and produce anywhere else. I mean, 210 shots they've had. That's 22 above the league average, and they only have 17 goals.
See, that's also where I'm kind of going with this as well. The power play has no urgency. In last night's game, the power play looked lost. Like, they were just passing the puck around, and they had opportunities to shoot and score, but they didn't do it. I don't understand what their strategy is on the power play, and I feel like that is going to hurt us in the long run. We haven't had a good power play in like the last 2 years, and it's honestly annoying. It's honestly annoying.
Well, Josh, I have to agree with you with the defense. In every single game that they've lost, they have given up 4 or more goals, and I don't think that this is a recipe for success for them. I think this is their biggest weakness that they need to improve to be able to be good in this league.
And their stats are good. Like, if you look at all their stats, they are putting up decent numbers. Like, they're overall a pretty solid unit, especially with Carlson back there. But I'm just not seeing enough, and they're not scoring, which, of course, so if you don't score goals, you're not going to win games. So.
And that's very true. And I am not sold on goaltending this year either.
No.
Goaltending is horrible. The goalie last night, Najelovic or whatever his name is, he had a terrible play last night.
Oh my God!
Where he let out that goal, it was terrible.
You should never be going out of that blue.
That's a bannable offense in my opinion.
Real
bannable.
Yep.
Coming up next, we have a segment called College Football's Fantastic Four with Garrett Sherwin. Stay tuned.
Let's see it, Steve. Women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Now it's time to go into the world of college football. Now, over to Garrett to talk about his top 4 and one surprising team he left out.
Thank you, Jaden. I'm going to start off with the Georgia Bulldogs. Before all you Bulldogs fans start barking at me like our own Samuel Goldberg, let me tell you why they have no shot to get into the college football playoff. Simply put, Carson Beck. Now let's get into my list. All right, at number 4, I got the Washington Huskies. Now let's remember, Michael Penix, he was at Iowa 2 years with Kalen DeBoer, head coach at Washington. Plus he has Romeo Odunze as his top wide receiver. Let's go to Florida State. Florida State's offense is immaculate. We got Jaheim Bell. Jaheim Bell's a tight end, so they say, but he actually plays running back. Crazy. We got Johnny Wilson, one of the 6'7" wide receiver. Come on now. And we also got Keon Coleman, best transfer wide receiver out of the portal. This team plays in a weak ACC. As you see, they're going to play the Duke Blue Devils again in the ACC championship, and they're going to smack them. Now let's go to my number 2 team, Oklahoma. Now, a lot of you might be saying, Oklahoma, they were terrible last year. Their defense was terrible. And you are right. But Brett Venables did not have his guys. He's got his guys now. And he has Dylan Gabriel with Jeff Levy for a 5th year. They were at UCF together. This offense is crazy. They know what to do. They know each other. They know each other like the back of their hand. And let's go on to Michigan. All right. Before you guys start saying, Michigan scandal, Michigan that, we're not worried about that. We'll talk about that later. Michigan, we got J.J. McCarthy, potential Heisman frontrunner. We got Blake Corum. Blake Corum was hurt, had to watch his team get killed against TCU in the college football playoff. These guys are back, and they want blood, and they are the best team right now. And not to mention, Jim Harbaugh, he's going to the NFL after this year. This team wants the national championship, and I believe they will get it. Back to you, Jaden.
Who are the top 4 contenders for the Heisman?
My top 4 candidates. Let's start at number 4, Cam Ward, Washington State QB. Now, I don't know if you all know who he is because he transferred in from Incarnate Word. So, not a huge name. But Cam Ward set all the single season records at Incarnate Word and FCS passing records. This kid is amazing. You want to see a true quarterback? Look at him. He's got a cannon. He's athletic. He is what you want in a quarterback. Now let's go to number 3, Drake May. All right, Drake May might be a little low for some of you. I get it. But Drake May is not on the best team ever, and he just got Tez Walker back, his top wide receiver. So they're still coming together. But Drake May alone was offered $5 million from Alabama to come transfer there. That's all you need to know about this kid. Is he the best quarterback in college football? No, but he's up there with the best of them, and he deserves to be on this list. Let's move to number 2, Luther Burden. Now, wide receiver at Missouri. I know not all of you are going to know who Luther Burden is, and you might think I'm just doing this to tell you who he is. I'm not. This kid leads the NCAA in receiving yards. This kid was a 4-star recruit from St. Louis. He decided to stay home and play for Eli Drinkwitz. This kid is good. He's only a sophomore, and I'm going to tell you what. By the end of his career, he may not win the Heisman because it's really a quarterback award. We know that. He'll win the Biletnikoff, no doubt. And number 1, the clear and away favorite who will win it, Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. knows this offense. Michael Penix Jr. is going to go off. He's going to lead his team to a 3-0 stretch against USC, Oregon State, and Washington State. They're going to win. They're going to go off. And he, because of that, will get his team into the college football playoff and the Heisman. Back to you, Jaden.
All right, Garrett. Is the scandal going on in Ann Arbor something to pay attention to?
Let me just say, if I go too far here, I apologize. This is a joke. The NCAA does not want Jim Harbaugh in their organization. They are done with him. They tried to nail him for hamburgers. He bought kids hamburgers, and so now we're going to suspend him for 3 games. Now he's doing something that's not even illegal. It is legal to steal signs. What are we doing, NCAA? What are we actually doing? You know what? I'm glad Jim Harbaugh is going to leave after this year. I'm glad he's going to win the national championship with the Wolverines. You know what? Also, Ryan Day, you're a loser. Just because you lost 2 years in a row to Michigan doesn't mean you have to find some reason that they cheated. And I'm going to tell you something else, Ryan Day. It's a great day to be a Michigan Wolverine. And I hope you lose and get smacked again this year. Jaden, back to you.
Alrighty, Garrett. With a disappointing performance Pitt has had this season, what does the team need to do this offseason?
There's a lot they need to do. Let's start off with this. They are old. Their offense is old. It's dinosaur-like. They need to move to a spread offense or an air raid. I don't really care. The rest of college football, they're running air raids. They're running spreads. Pitt's here running with 3 tight ends and handing it off and a fullback. No one does that besides the academy schools. That is a joke. That is a joke you don't want to be in the conversation with the academy schools when we're talking about offense. Let's go to number 3. Okay, kind of a little crazy to say this, but they need to fire the old heads. All right, no, I'm not talking about Pat Narduzzi. I'm talking about Dave Borbley and Andre Powell. By stars, by recruiting rankings, this team has the best backfield and O-line in the ACC. By performance, the worst. You know why? Dave Borbley and Andre Powell. Both those guys got fired by Maryland by, guess who? Matt Canada. Yeah, we hate him in this city. I hate him too. He doesn't know football, and he fired those guys. He knows a little something. I'm going to go to number 2. All right, this is not exactly the most conventional take ever, but it's true. They need to rehire Brennan Marion. Brennan Marion was the wide receivers coach for the Pitt Panthers in 2021. That's the year they won 11 games, ACC championship, went to the Peach Bowl. Brennan Marion was the reason their wide receiver core was so good. Now, let me tell you something else about Brennan Marion. He runs this special offense called the go-go offense. It's his own thing, but it works. He's averaging 40 points at UNLV right now. Pitt is averaging 24 points. Go get your tail out of your butt, Narduzzi, and hire Brennan Marion and his new offense. You thought he was smarter than you. You're right, he is. Hire him again. You need him. Now, number 1, this is the most important. Fire Frank Cignetti. I've kind of been talking about this the whole time, but haven't fully committed. But this is true. Frank Cignetti had one good year in his whole coaching career. That being the QB coach of Aaron Rodgers in 2018. Big whoop. Big whoop. You have to be hired by other organizations because you were the coach of Aaron Rodgers. It's a joke. This offense is terrible. He keeps insisting on bringing in transfer quarterbacks that are washed up and stink. He needs to get going, and that's it. Now, I'm going to throw it back to the panel and see what their thoughts on what I had to say here.
Pitt is not it right now. Every time I watch a Pitt game, I see an abysmal performance on the field, and it's just not a good product. Like the game against Wake Forest, that was probably the worst game I've watched as a Pitt bandwagon. I'll say it, I'm a Pitt bandwagon, but it's terrible.
I agree. I've haven't gone to some of their games, haven't watched a lot of it. It's bad. I think they're going to be pretty hard to, back in these next coming years unless they make those changes.
And honestly, I feel like if Pitt can get some good, recruits coming up soon, they will be pretty good. And we got some hot, sizzling takes coming up here next, and we will show you guys what's hot.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Wait! Not in the toilet!
No, don't do that. No.
Don't hit your brother! Oh!
Not again.
What did I tell you about playing in the mud?
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait!
Frankie, happy. What are you doing? We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
You could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns. Unload, lock, and away from ammo.
Alrighty, let's toss it to the panel for their final takes.
My final take is Victor Wembanyama will win Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. He will be running in the power forward position, so he will be in an expanded role, kind of like Kevin Durant. He averaged around 20 minutes and 19 points during the preseason. Imagine how his stats will be when he plays during the season. Wemby is a freak of nature, and he has shown glimpses of that during the preseason and when he played in France. This guy is 7'4", and he probably moves way better than your favorite forward and center. Wemby is going to be on the mind of offenses all year, and teams are going to have to find a way to adjust, and I doubt they will be able to, which is why I think Victor Wembanyama will win both of these awards. And Victor Wembanyama will be the person who will win MVP too.
Okay, well, the Houston Texans are going to make the playoffs this year. I know the Texans the Texans. They have been one of the most surprising teams in the league this year. They have shown that they can be a wild card team off the back of C.J. Stroud and company. But what exactly makes me a believer in the Texans? Well, C.J. Stroud has been playing like a true veteran quarterback this year. He has been picking teams apart left and right. A prime example of this being the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not only that I'm high on C.J. Stroud, but I'm also high on their defense. Besides 2 games this year, the Texans have held opponents to 21 points or less. And lastly, DeMeco Ryans has proven to the world why he was the #1 coaching candidate last year.
My final take is pretty simple. Justin Jefferson, you need to get out of Minnesota. Justin, look, you've had a good run. You're very successful. You need to follow in the footsteps of the guys who came before you, like Randy Moss, like Stephon Diggs. They left. Just get out of there. And all I'm going to say is, why would you deal the best player I know, Minnesota fans? It's because he's too good. It's a luxury you can't afford. You need to get out of there, Justin. Please.
Thank you for watching Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm your host, Jaden Barker, and we'll see you next